Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love on BBC Radio Oxford. Right then, it's 18 minutes past 11, it's Friday, and that of course means that there are a load of new movies that get released today, whether they're ones that are in the cinema or whether they're ones that maybe you could just stream from the comfort of your own sofa. Van Connor, our movie critic, comes on to talk about the ones we should maybe see or maybe avoid. So welcome back to the show, Van. I hope you're doing okay. I mean, we do need to touch on some pretty bad news for the movie world that happened yesterday, so I'll leave that to you, Van.
We do. Hello, Mr. Ball. I hope you had a nice week. Unfortunately, I was having a great week until late last night when we got the news that unfortunately David Lynch had passed. The great David Lynch, now forevermore to be referred to as the late great David Lynch.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic filmmakers of the last century, and just an absolute, totem figure for all of us cinephiles and film bros around the world. The director of Blue Velvet, Eraserhead, the 1980s Dune, Inland Empire, Eastern Promises, Straight Story, Twin Peaks. You can forget iconic works. He had that many. You can forget works that would be any other director's biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that's how cool David Lynch was. Also, he was just a great guy in interviews. Like, watch any David Lynch interview and you will laugh yourself senseless. The man did not give the faintest fig whatsoever about what he was very much a philosopher of film. As he always said, don't watch the donut, not the hole. That was one of his great philosophies.
I love that.
Was quite cool.
I love that.
And it's been really nice seeing the film world sort of come out and show all the love in the last, literally overnight, like Spielberg and John Carpenter and people like that. Yeah.
Well deserved, of course. David Lynch, who died yesterday, or announced yesterday that he died at the age of just 78 as well. I mean, it's a shame there weren't another 10 or 15 years left in him. He
had emphysema. We'd known for a while because he was a very heavy smoker. He had emphysema. Yeah,
of course. Now, let's look at a positive then and talk about, well, I say positive, we don't know yet whether they are or not, but it's up to you, Van. So 2 movies that are out today is we've got Wolfman and A Complete Unknown. So which would you like to start with, Van?
So let's talk about A Complete Unknown first. I'm just going to spoil the lead for you here. They are both positives. These are both good signs of the movies. Okay, because I know you were really dicey about the Bob Dylan one. Like, please don't mess up Bob Dylan. Okay, so A Complete Unknown, written and directed by James Mangold, who, although has made many great movies, most notably in this context was also the writer and director of Walk the Line in 2005, the Johnny Cash movie. And Johnny Cash is in this story, obviously as a supporting figure because this is Bob Dylan's story. Cash was kind of a part of it. So Timothée Chalamet is our Bob Dylan. This is the official movie. Like, it has all of his life rights and all of his music and all of his recordings. They've got everything. And Timmy Chalamet has done his homework. Like, he's doing the singing, he's doing the playing, he's doing the performing. And it is apparently all performed and sung live in the filming. Like, it is done. It's not recorded after the fact. It's done as performed. So it is the story of, effectively, Dylan going electric, that point in which Bob Dylan broke onto the folk scene in New York in the late 50s, early 60s, and at the point that they were having that transition between traditional folk music and the ghastly idea of electric instruments. And, of course, Bob Dylan, being the poet and just out-and-out rebel that he was one of the first who basically said, no, let me have a go. And, of course, the rest is history. So this is that story, as well as the story of his romantic relationships along the way, his friendships that he formed and some that he burned along the way. As I say, brought to the screen by James Mangold, starring Timothée Chalamet. You've also got Elle Fanning in there, Scoot McNairy, Edward Norton, who's been award nominated for this alongside Timothée Chalamet, because he plays Pete Seeger as well. Scoot McNairy is Woody Guthrie, and my personal favourite as well, Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash. So I've got a clip for you. This is Bob Dylan. This is what happens when Bob Dylan goes to a party. They just try to get him to play music. So have a listen.
Hey, Pete.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
Nice
Great to see you.
How you doing? Like me around the world in 80 days, huh?
It's a magic carpet ride. This is full of wonder.
This is Becca, by the way.
Nice to meet you. This is my wife, Toshi.
Nice to meet you. I absolutely love your music. I'm such a big fan, Mr. Seeger.
Pete. Harold's putting the lean on you there? Trying to get you to play?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, well, don't hold it against him. It's for a good cause. Want to use this beauty?
They always keep it handy, huh, Pete? He's like a gunfighter with a 6-gun, always keeping it close. Oh, the time will come up when the winds
will stop and the breeze will cease to be breathing.
I mean, it doesn't shock me at all that you said how, amazing Timothée Chalamet is in this. And of course, it's got a great soundtrack.
Of course. Yeah, of course. It's got the licensed soundtrack, which, as we learned from David Bowie a few years ago, you really need. Chalamet's great. It kind of helps, admittedly, that we don't get much of an insight into Dylan the man. We just seem portrayed as, let's just say, a bit difficult, a bit pampered, a bit spoiled in and of himself. And Chalamet kind of fits that perfectly. So he kind of plays Bob Dylan as if he's just Timothée Chalamet. And fair play, it works very well. Edward Norton, I think, is tremendous here. It's a really different side than I've ever seen Edward Norton play. He's a very gentle, very soft character as Pete Seeger. But like I say, Boyd Holbrook, for me, every time Boyd Holbrook comes on screen as a much more sort of cartoonishly drunk, Johnny Cash, it's just a great time. He is absolutely loving this, you can tell. Wonderfully shot. I thought the story, it romped along. I was captivated by it. But at the same time, I didn't learn anything about Dylan the man, except that he's kind of unpleasant and difficult, or at least as portrayed. But I did feel that the film really captures that specific time period in the way that, for instance, Michael Mann's Ali isn't a biopic. It's a story of a couple of years in Muhammad Ali's life. This is very much the same. Like, it's all building up to the Newport Folk Festival in, I think, 65, thereabouts, 64, 65. But I do think it brilliantly captures that aura of sort of romantic artistry that we associate with Bob Dylan. It's absolutely got that vibe. And to be honest, that's the thing you need the most from a Bob Dylan movie.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Well, if you do want to see A Complete Unknown this weekend, you can at Curzon, Odeon, Phoenix Picture House, View Cinemas in Oxford, as well as Cineworld Witney and Didcot, View in Bicester, Regal Picture House in Henley, and The Light in Banbury. So plenty of opportunities if you would like to go and see A Complete Unknown. On to our next movie then, that is also out today, Wolfman. Now, I don't know much about this.
I will tell you this is one of the best times I've had in the pictures in ages. So, this is effectively sort of a spiritual follow-up to Invisible Man from 2020 by Lee Whannell, Elizabeth Moss one. This is part of the same sort of canon. He has then gone and made this as the next movie. So he's made Wolfman, which reimagines the classic story of man gets bitten by werewolf, man transforms into werewolf, into a sort of stifled, downtrodden, very much a beta writer who's out of work, goes to his estranged father's, his now dead father's home to clear it out, effectively. It's in the remote Oregon woods. And as he takes his sort of, let's just say, difficult young journalist wife and daughter along for the ride with him, they get into a car accident. He is, let's just say, injured in the process. And over the course of one night, we see this family having to basically fight for survival in this remote country home, which at first doesn't even have electricity, doesn't have a phone. It only has a CB radio. And as they are fending off this threat from the outside, Daddy starts to get a bit ill, we shall say. And he ain't looking too nice, let's just say. I've got a clip for you. This is a trailer sizzle for you.
Hello? Can anyone hear me? Hello? We were in an accident.
Daddy, are we gonna die?
No, it's my job to protect you.
And we were attacked. I think my husband was infected. Mike?
Daddy? What's wrong with Daddy?
He got sick.
These kinds of movies, Van, can sometimes be a bit cliche and a little bit another werewolf movie. I'm assuming that this avoids all of that, which is why you like it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It got some really sniffy reviews from my peers, but, they need to get a life and just learn how to have fun again. It's a wonderful horror movie about how awful it must be to be married to Julia Garner. I'm kidding. It's a story about abuse and generational trauma and toxic masculinity. but done in this riff on The Wolfman that basically plays like Cronenberg's remake of The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. So the way in which Jeff Goldblum transitions into becoming The Fly in that movie is a lot like how Christopher Abbott from Brandon Cronenberg's Possessor, funnily enough, there's a Cronenberg connection there, how he transforms into the Wolfman. The performances are amazing. The actual creature effects, and this sounds like hyperbole. I don't say this lightly. The werewolf transformation effects in this are the best werewolf transformation effects I've seen since probably 1981's An American Werewolf in London, possibly The Howling as well a few years later, if you factor that in. I think this is good fun. It very much is a nice companion piece to Invisible Man, but whereas that was more of a drawn-out stalker thriller, this is pretty much a run-and-gun, survive-the-night roller coaster. It is proper scary at times, and little sidebar that you'll find funny, he gets injured on his right forearm. By the end of this movie, thanks to my partner and her gripping my arm and screaming endlessly, I genuinely thought I was going to come away with the same injury. Like, I could barely move my right arm after this movie. People were climbing the wall, people were shrieking. It is jumpy, it is effective, it is cool, sexy, scary. It's awesome.
That's what you want.
But you know what? If you want to go for the snottier opinion, check The Guardian. I'm here for the fun, you know?
Well, I mean, that's the kind of movie you want if you're going to watch a werewolf movie or a wolf movie. Yeah. Something that's going to make you jump and feel proper on edge. So, if you want to dive into that this weekend, you can see Wolfman at View Cinema in Oxford, Cineworld, Didcot and Whitney, View in Bicester and The Light in Banbury. Great. 2 fantastic movies this week. What have we got to look forward to next Friday? Any big releases?
We've got a couple next week, including a 4-hour-long architecture drama from Brady Corbett that's probably going to win several Oscars. I saw it this week. We had the cast actually turn up. It was incredible. Mum was very happy that Guy Pearce was in the room. The Brutalist is out next week, and there is a lot to say about that. A 4-hour-long drama about post-Holocaust architecture. Wow. What's not to love? That is cinema, baby.
We'll be talking about that then on Friday next week. Until then, Van, have a lovely weekend. All right, we'll catch up then.
Till the next time, good stuff.